Hey, it's Martavis Bryant, a.k.a. Martin McBride, and you listen to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from the FantasyJocks.com studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Marty McBride.
Is he back?
Re-emerging
From the ashes.
from the future, from the past.
Well, he's coming back from space because they call him the alien.
Oh, my goodness.
He was abducted for a year.
I believe Mike said verbatim, he says, we better use that drop today because there's no guarantee he's being reinstated. Martavis Bryant bringing you into the show today.
No, man, it's imminent. It's imminent. It's happening.
We actually have Martavis Bryant news to talk about on the show. Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Andy, Mike, and Jason back again, jumping into our second running back ranking episode, early running back ranking episode. Very excited to be here. Thank you for listening and for subscribing to the show. Your support is why we do this. So thank you very, very much. Great show today. Have a good quick question. Find us on the web at thefantasyfootballers.com and on Twitter at theFFBallers. Gentlemen, are you ready for some football?
Certainly.
Very ready to get into some heated fights, fisticuffs over. See, the top 10 running backs.
Yeah,
it's hard. Like you like them, and if you look at our rankings, it's like, I'm 2 spots lower than you.
You dummy.
Except for one guy.
Well, right, Todd Gurley.
Yes.
Yeah, Todd Gurley.
But with these running backs we're talking about today, there's some differing opinions in the room.
Yeah. I moved Marshawn into my top 3 this morning.
I'm not surprised.
So, draft him. No, we'll talk about Marshawn Lynch as well. We'll get into the news. Let's start here with a quick question, guys. A real quick trivia question.
I actually think I know the answer.
Do you? So don't answer. Let
Okay.
Jason answer first. The question is, in full PPR, I've been an RB1 every season of my 9-year career except for last year. So, I mean, obviously, eliminates many options with the length of the career.
I'm pretty confident I got this one.
I've just been doing research on kind of rookie running backs that finish as a top running back. There was only 19 since 2002, so I know I have looked at this guy recently. AP comes to mind, but he has it depends on how you score that because he's missed seasons where he's finished.
Yeah, that wouldn't qualify him.
No.
So we're looking
Matt
at
Forte.
That's my guess.
You are both right.
Yeah, we did
it,
it, man.
Matt Forte. Last year he was not, but he had been an RB1 every season of his 9-year career in full point per reception. Giant, skyscraper-sized question marks over the head of
Yes.
Matt Forte this year.
People sure thought they had a running back one when the season was starting with Matt Forte. Despite being, inefficient, he was still getting these monster workloads. I mean, I believe he had a week of he had 100 yards, but it took him 30 carries to get there. But he still got there because they were giving him the work. However, once he went down at the end of the season, you saw Bilal Powell get a very healthy workload and just destroy
Wouldn't it
defenses.
stand to reason that because the Jets want to lose, they will give Matt Forte and his inefficient work plenty of opportunity to move the chains a time or two before the punt?
A time or two before the punt. Yeah.
It's very
I
possible.
think Matt Forte is going to be a guy that you're going to get so late, and he's going to come out of the gates just fine.
Possibly.
That's how I view it. I don't.
Larry Fitzgerald of the running back
exactly.
position.
So I mean, I'll be drafting him if he's falling into the late
Where?
rounds.
Where's the fall meet your value?
He is my running back 27 right now, as
Okay.
far as on the season. So that's going to put him very late. I think I would look, depending on what my roster makeup is and whether I need kind of that, I need to plug in a guy that I think can be a starter week 1 late, then, I would say 8th, 9th round, I would pull the trigger.
I'm going to look at where he's going currently.
Yeah, I have no idea what his
So I'm
ADP
pulling
is.
up
because I mean, that's what I'm going to go off of, right? Because if he's going in the 11th round in ADP, then I'm not taking him in the 8th.
Currently, Matt Forte, Fantasy Football Calculator, has him going at the beginning of the 7th round.
Oof.
Is that enough for you?
I would
take him in a heartbeat there, depending on my running back.
On my roster. Yeah,
based on my running back situation.
Well, I'll just throw a couple names right behind him.
Okay.
Amir Abdullah, Dion, and these are just the running backs, of course, but Amir Abdullah, Dion Lewis, Paul Perkins, and Rob Kelley.
I would
behind Matt
I would
Forte.
take Rob Kelley and Amir Abdullah ahead.
I would take
sure.
Rob Kelley and Perkins ahead. So, all right, as of today,
Sure,
once
yeah,
Washington drafts their running back, we'll
I will weep.
Yeah, I know you will. All right, today is a Foot Clan Thursday because we have the Footcast this afternoon over at jointhefoot.com, our exclusive extra episode for all of our podcast supporters over at jointhefoot.com. So I encourage you to head over there, and you'll get to listen into the Footcast later today. From time to time, we do like to read reviews from the listeners. Listener reviews help support this show over on iTunes. We appreciate you supporting us over there, and, Jason reads these for us because he's got a special skill for reading.
Reviewosaurus Rex.
This one comes in from the Disness. He's giving us the Disness here. 5 stars.
The Disness or the – oh, yeah, it is the Disness. You got it.
Yeah, I know how to read, Mike.
I just had – when I briefly looked at it, I assumed it was the dizziness.
Ah, well, you're wrong. I'm right. He says, do you like fantasy football? How about humiliating your friends because of your extensive football knowledge? If you said yes to both of these questions, this podcast is for you. The amount of in-depth analysis you receive from these guys is awesome. Everything including the debates, the waiver wire pickups, and even getting hooked on player nicknames like the Rolls Royce. Not so much anymore. Either way, you get great fantasy advice. You look for, along with some great commentary, best podcast ever, hashtag, and Mike, you might like this one.
I love it.
Hashtag get Mike right verified.
I love this.
Hashtag impossible task.
And I will say this. I mean, this is a spectacular view. We really appreciate that from the Disness. I will say that the one falter that the Disness made is he had set it up so beautifully.
For hooked on
getting hooked on player nicknames. I mean, that's a perfect segue into hooked on a Thielen. But he just didn't execute, but that's okay. We appreciate it.
Still love you, Disness.
Thank you for the review. We appreciate it. Let's jump into the news.
News and notes from around the league.
Well, I mean, starting with the nicknames, I mean, if Marty McBride is back, does that qualify as a 2017 nickname now? Does the nickname get reinstated?
Oh, the nickname comes
Is it
back.
qualified for rookie status?
No.
Marty!
No, that's it won't be on the Footy Awards. That's an old nickname, but he might be eligible for some footies depending on how he plays. He would be an immediate impact player.
He is Martavis Bryant, wide receiver for the Steelers. Houston Chronicles' Aaron Wilson confirmed that he's expected to be reinstated. I believe it's been about 60 days since his request for reinstatement. We wish him the best in getting back on the field and in getting over the past issues with substance abuse.
I'd say the difference for Martavis Bryant and Josh Gordon, to me, I mean, obviously we're going long distance, just evaluation, but there were the reports that Martavis Bryant, he had some personal issues with, anxiety, depression, and which led him in a certain direction. Since that time, though, he hasn't been partying shirtless with Johnny Manziel. I mean, the guy's been. We haven't heard it.
Talking about Josh Gordon.
Yes.
Okay.
Despite the rippling abs, I would still keep the shirt on and not hang out with Johnny Manziel. But Martavis Bryant's not been heard of. That report also spoke of the guy has added 25 pounds of muscle or so in his offseason. So the dude's working out. And he's working as a volunteer coach. I mean, so I like what's going on here. And if Martavis is truly back, I mean, this is
He was
news.
a top 12 upside type of wide receiver. He had a great season already. And in his stead, while he's been gone, Sammy Coates didn't get the job done. Marcus Wheaton didn't get the job done. The team is still there. The offense is still there. Big Ben, despite all of his words, is not retiring. He's going to be there.
There was a 7-point difference in production with Martavis Bryant on the field in terms of the Steelers and the points scored. So his impact in the offense is massive.
Does this move the needle for Big Ben for you?
Yes.
I
doesn't.
agree.
He's not reinstated. We don't know anything.
We're assuming he's back. And another
I'm
important
certainly
question.
not assuming he's back.
Okay, that's fine.
The reports are worth talking about, but I mean, with guys like this, I will never until it's done and the NFL says it's done. I'm not banking on anything.
Then another important question: better NFL receiver, Sammy Coates or Martavis Bryant's butt?
Martavis Bryant's butt made a great catch.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm going to go with B.
I'm happy that you bring that question up because you love Sammy Coates so much. So that's helpful.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, yesterday there are only a couple things that Mike does well. He can grow a beard. He can paste pictures of goat heads onto Rex Burkhead pictures.
Hey, my GIF game is among the best.
And he walks into the office yesterday and he's just like, hey, has there been any Marshawn Lynch news? Yeah. Well, good old Peach Cobbler, Pete Carroll came out and at the meetings talked about Marshawn, confirmed that indeed Marshawn Lynch, when he did visit the Seahawks facility, spoke of at least having an interest in potentially coming back.
What were his exact
his
language?
exact words was
he's kind of thinking about maybe coming back.
Right, because it's not his job to break that. I'm telling you, he is coming back to football.
Here's I'll
Jason
play the
has
man
now
in the
adjusted
middle.
his
I will
view
play
again.
the man. Yeah, I'll play the man in the middle here quickly. The reports a couple weeks ago said
You're always
Marshawn
the man
Lynch,
in the middle, buddy.
Marshawn Lynch, visited the Seahawks and talked about asking for a release, and then the reports came out and said no, it was just a personal visit. There was none of that talk. Well, Pete Carroll flat confirmed that he did talk about coming back to football. So I think that original report carries a little bit more credence to me. So I'm moving the needle up. But
And to
I've
give
said
you the
this,
quote, he said he's playing with the idea of, okay?
Right,
Playing
it's
with
not-
the idea of coming back.
we talk too much Marshawn Lynch.
Yes, we
Agreed?
have. Agreed.
All right, let's talk about Andre Ellington. Moved permanently to wide receiver. We expect him to be marked as a wide receiver next year for Arizona?
Yes.
Yeah, and here's where things are difficult. Fitzgerald, when he was on the field, he was in the slot 63% of the time. When John Brown was on the field, which he was in and out, he had his injuries, he was in the slot 45% of the time. Where can Andre Ellington possibly go besides the slot?
A lot of people, because we are from Arizona, asking for our takes on this. Is this matters? Is this fantasy relevant? There's no way, in my opinion, that Andre Ellington gets ahead of Larry Fitzgerald, John Brown, Jerron Brown, or J.J. Nelson.
But
so
Jerron
at best,
Brown's
he's
coming off an ACL, so we don't even know if he'll be ready.
and I still put him behind him. But I'm just saying probably fourth or fifth wide receiver, which for fantasy football is irrelevant.
Yeah, I mean, what we know is Andre Ellington he has pretty solid receiver skills. So if he somehow earned his way onto the field, perhaps he can have some value. But as of right now, I'm not scrambling to add him to my team.
This says that the Cardinals will probably be adding another running back, whether that's bringing back Chris Johnson or drafting one. Don't be surprised and don't lower David Johnson when it happens.
That's an excellent point.
Yeah, there was a report the other day that Arians wants Johnson at 30 touches a game and that he's too young to be overworked, which is just beautiful noise to the ears of fantasy owners. He averaged, I believe, 23 touches a game last year. The thoughts of him getting more touches is just unbelievable. So Packers coach Mike McCarthy said he thinks Ty Montgomery has the, quote, ability to be a number one running back. We've had a lot of debates in the office about Ty Montgomery. A lot of them have just been based around where we rank him today, right now, based on what the Packers are bringing to the table, re-signing Christian Michael, and the potential for them to draft a running back. I obviously believe that they will. Montgomery's an interesting case. Are we talking about him later today?
I don't know if he cracked the top 20.
Montgomery did not crack our top 20, but he
so
was.
Maybe it's worth talking about him briefly right now.
He cracks one of our top 20s. Mike, you have him at wide receiver, at running back 16.
I do, and I took a look. So Ty Montgomery last year, once he took over as the full-time running back, he essentially averaged 70 total yards a game, which, well, wow, that's not spectacular by any means. I mean, it's low-end running back 2 numbers, and then I just projected, of him. I see a way that he does get better. We saw the ability of him to have monster games when he just destroyed the Chicago Bears. I mean, he went full ham. So we know that's there. We know the ability is there. Obviously, the ability as a pass catcher is there when he had the back-to-back 10-reception games.
He's a wide receiver.
Right. I think that if they move forward with Montgomery and Christine Michael as the main guys, I think that Montgomery is easily a running back too.
Did you guys see the report of Adrian Peterson working out with Jameis Winston?
Yes,
no,
I saw that, and I think that I mean, I've said from the beginning, one of the best landing spots, if not the best landing spot for Adrian Peterson, would be Tampa Bay. They run the highest percentage out of their rushing plays last year were under center, and that's how
under center.
That's how AP wants to run. I mean, we saw Doug Martin 2 years ago with this team and with this offensive line be second in the league in yards. So I think it's a good situation for AP.
Yeah, I was going to say, where would you initially think he'd be ranked if Doug Martin doesn't come back? They signed Adrian Peterson. Is he a
I would
top 24 guy?
Yeah, he would be in the top 24 for me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Where was Doug Martin when this workout was happening?
Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
Not with Jameis Winston.
Hold back all of your hamster wheel jokes. All right, we're jumping into the rankings.
Hey, before we
Running backs.
Well, I was going to say before we
Cut you
jump
off.
in, I just want to remind the Foot Clan, hey, the Ultimate Draft Kit is available for pre-order.
That's where you're supposed to say, speaking of rankings.
Oh, yes. It's like you're a professional.
I know.
But so, speaking of rankings, the Ultimate Draft Kit, this is we're in pre-order right now. This is the absolute cheapest you can get it. I mean, this thing is jam-packed with all kinds of information. Our rankings, our tier rankings, video profiles, exclusive Matt Harmon reception perception on the top 50 wide receivers. I mean, there is an unbelievable amount of material in this draft kit. And right now, like I said, this is the cheapest you can possibly get it. So if you want to save a couple bucks, you're going to get it, just go ahead and pre-order it.
Where do you get it, Mike?
UltimateDraftKit.com.
That's where you get it. All right, number 11 on our early running back rankings. Again, a reminder, go back, listen to Tuesday's show if you want to hear our top 10. These are our consensus early rankings. We went through the top 10 on Tuesday. We're jumping in right now into the second half of that. And number 11, our consensus number 11 running back, the sometimes enigmatic,
Yes.
the difficult to have full confidence in at times, and yet very impressive, Ajayi, running back for the Miami Dolphins. Last year, finished the year as number 11 overall in 15 games played. Had some explosive monster week winner type of games.
He is both your, Andy, and my running back 10. So he would have cracked our top 10. Mike, you have him just outside at 15.
And I think we're overall as a show, the three of us are lower on Ajayi than the
his average draft position's been very high, right? Is it?
Yeah,
202.
Yeah, I mean, that is tough. Like Andy was talking about, enigmatic. I mean, this guy is a mystery. You have those explosive games, 3 games over 200 yards, which I mean, you can't completely write that off. 2 of those were against Buffalo. Well, 410 rushing yards against Buffalo. Lucky for him, he gets to play Buffalo twice a year coming up. But aside from those, 60 rushing yards a game in those games where he didn't just fully go off. We saw he had one of his bigger games against the Jets, over 100 yards. The second time, though, they completely shut him down. So I'm just not sure what to make of Ajayi.
It's football. And in football, you're going to have good games. You're going to have bad games. The best player out there, if you're Antonio Brown, you're going to have some bad games. You're going to get shut down a little bit every now and then. And so for Ajayi, if they go into the season and through draft and through free agency, they have made clear that he is their guy. And heading into, the fantasy draft weekend after that 3rd preseason game, he's set up. I will probably move him ahead of number 10 because when you look at how efficient he was in yards after contact and in every statistical measure of the quality of his performance, it was pretty good. And I think the Miami Dolphins offense as a whole, second year with Adam Gase, continuity at the entire offensive level, the offensive line getting a little bit better, Ryan Tannehill back in year 2.
Julius Thomas, am I right?
Julius Thomas being added. I think their offense takes a slight step forward, which means if Ajayi is that guy,
right,
and he's the starting running back, he's one of the very few kind of workhorse backs. The only issue I have with him is he is not very efficient in the passing game. He's not.
At least he was not. I mean, he had that in college.
In college he was, but he didn't show it at the NFL level. And I don't – like when I statted him out, I thought, man, I see him having a monster year. But when you factor in the receiving numbers and the receiving yards or lack thereof, he fell to my number 10.
The one thing I'd add is that, this team as a whole was finding its footing last year. I think it started the year 4 out of 5 games they lost, and then they went on that big run where they only lost 1 out of their last, I think out of their next like 8 or 9 games. And so they were in and of themselves enigmatic, not scoring a lot of points in the beginning of the year, figuring out what they were doing. I feel pretty comfortable with Ajayi. Like I'm not worried about him being a monster bust candidate personally.
But it's the draft price. That's where things are going to
and that's why he won't be
sticky.
on. He won't be on a lot of my teams because of that. But if the opportunity to acquire him at the right price is there, I feel pretty good about him. And obviously, any player that can give you, if you want to know why the shine is on a young player versus that kind of tried and true guy that you can draft later, it's because of those games. It's because of the back-to-back weeks where Ajayi can basically win you a week on his own. So. Let's move on to number 12 here. Another guy that I just, my story with CJ.
Yep.
And, I'm going to just say it's happened. Everything that I thought would happen with CJ Anderson has happened, which is he's a talented player. He's our number 12 consensus. But there are issues there, guys. There are issues there. He was number 11 in 2014. Since then, number 30. And then last year only played 7 games.
Yeah, it's a matter of he can't stay on the field, which at this point, yes, you fully have to take that into account. We have him as our consensus number 12, but his risk rating, which our risk ratings will be available in the Ultimate Draft Kit, that's going to be high for C.J. Anderson. But you cannot deny the fact that he is a good running back and he makes the team better. When he was on the field for his full 7 games, Denver as a whole averaged 112 rushing yards a game. Without him, 78. I mean, that's a huge drop-off. So he brings a lot. He scored in 4 of 7 games. And what is fantastic for the Broncos and for C.J. Anderson, they have upgraded their line. Menelik Watson from Oakland. They went out and they said, who's got a good offensive line? Oakland and Dallas, good. We'll take one of your players.
One of each, please.
And they got Ronald Leary, the guard from Dallas, which is one of the bigger free agent signings of this offseason. So it's the opportunity should be there. With the health is sketchy, but if he's on the field, he's going to give you fantasy production.
Jason, what are your thoughts on CJ? I know you made a trade for him in Dynasty. I think you see the opportunity there. I think you saw the fact that he clearly was the better runner than Booker. When he went out, that team did not – I mean, I thought Booker might have been one of the best pickups that anybody could have had.
Everyone
for
did.
the second half
unanimous.
of the year. Like I think I was looking at him like, hey, maybe he's a top 3 guy rest of the season. Didn't pan out.
No, and I did go after C.J. Anderson because really not because I'm madly in love with C.J. Anderson, but because once you get past these top 15 running backs or so, you're falling off a cliff. I mean, you're just out there with hopeful guys like a Dion Lewis where you're going, maybe he'll get the ball. With C.J. Anderson, the upside is tremendous. The risk, I mean,
it's stalwart
just
level.
like Mike said, that's why we have a risk rating in our draft kit, because he might be our number 12 or number 11 ranked consensus running back. But when I'm in the draft, I'm looking at that risk rating going, yeah, he's in the same tier as someone else, but he's risky. I probably won't draft him. But if he falls to a good spot, I know his upside is there. The only concern I have with him right now is just what they're going to do in the draft. There's been rumors, they like Christian McCaffrey. Maybe they'll bring in another running back. Maybe they don't trust his health. But if he is out there, he's going to produce. He's involved in the passing game, the running game, the red zone game. He's a really solid running back.
You remember that game last year where I had C.J. Anderson and he had about
everything was called back.
all of his big plays were called back,
Yes.
and I lost by like a point.
He was so good in that game, but at the end of the game, his fantasy production was terrible.
Yeah.
That was one of those, like, if you don't watch
he
the
had that
game.
open field, like triple cut, and the hold was away from the play.
Yes.
Makes all these moves, gets into the end zone, and it was like, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 of them called back by holding. So I petitioned the league to remove holding from the league for the sake of fantasy football.
Well, it's still a penalty, but whatever you gained on the particular play, you still get that fantasy production.
I like it.
NFL.com will add that for a fee. Number 13 on our running back rankings, early running back rankings. I'm excited to talk about him. I think he's in that potential breakout category for our draft kit, which, by the way, sleepers, breakouts, busts, all of that will be in there as well. Isaiah Crowell, okay, big year last year when I think people really didn't expect him to have success, certainly yards per carry wise on the ground in an offense that went through 6 quarterbacks. Ended up finishing the year, he's been healthy for all 3 of his years, 16 games a year, made the jump up from a running back 3 finish to high running back 2 finish last year at number 14. Now you have an improved offensive line.
Monstrously improved.
That's a good way to put it.
I'm just saying that they've taken their offensive line and they've said we're a top 5. That's the reason that I see Crowell as such a great sleeper, is because he's going to have the opportunity to run behind a line that will be opening up big holes for him. And while last year people complained about the fact that such a high percentage of his yardage came on such a low volume of carries, he had a few
going to bring that up.
A few big breakout runs, and I don't necessarily expect that to repeat. He'll have the opportunities for big breakaways with what that O-line should be able to give him.
Yeah.
Still yet to have 200 carries in a season.
Yeah,
they have not even handed him the ball 200 times in one season.
And that number from Adam Spinks, the RB scout on Twitter, he talked about Isaiah Crowell for the running back position. He had 26% of his yardage from 5 carries, which was the biggest percentage for any running back. Which, I mean, so you weigh that how you want to. It's
bad and good,
right? At the exact same time. He did have some games where he crapped your team. I mean, he had 8 games of under 45 rushing yards, but they're giving him the ball, double-digit carries in 11 games. You know that Hugh Jackson has a fantastic running back scheme or blocking scheme for his offensive line. They target the running back. The main guy always gets targeted heavily. The Cleveland Browns had 139 targets to the running back. That was tied for 4th. However, percentage-wise, that was number 1 in the league. That could change because, like Jason said, there was 5,000 quarterbacks. So,
there will be again this year.
So we aren't sure what the actual trend will be. But Crowell, I agree with Andy that I like Crowell as a possible breakout guy, but his draft price is going to be very interesting to me as well.
You have to really like the improved reception totals, doubling his going up to 40 on 52 targets, high percentage of passes caught there, and doubling his yardage in the passing game. So
well, and just to speak to what Mike just said, it's a matter of that draft price. That's why Crowell to me is valuable.
You feel like people still won't.
As of right now, he's late 5th round.
Whew, I would love that.
I mean, look at the 2 guys before him. C.J. Anderson is in the 3rd round. Jay Ajayi's in the 2nd round. Isaiah Crowell, 509.
Crowell's being drafted behind, Eddie Lacy and Jeremy Hill. Crowell is a guy that I think is going to be on a team that wants to run the ball. I have him projected for 225 carries, despite the fact that he's never had.
He's been up each year, though, so
yes.
a bump up makes sense.
And I think they're going to be able to run the ball more with that offensive line.
So, Mike, are you preparing your pipes for potential cacaws?
Oh, I'm always ready for that. You know I have a soft spot in my heart for the Crow.
Yeah, you do.
I can't believe we didn't get one immediately out of the gates here.
Well, it was
just
Andy's. To be fair,
it's my fault.
The Crow is Andy's guy as This offseason so far, the Crow has been Andy's guy.
All right, well then let's talk about my guy. Okay, he was literally one of the 3 my guy candidates last
I was going to
year.
say, how are you literally? How is he literally your guy?
Literally,
well, on
Jason's guy.
on our my guy episode last season, he was one, and I would say most people feel like he disappointed.
Yes.
He didn't have a terrible season. He finished, still as a very high RB2.
Just behind Todd Gurley. Isn't that a shame?
But
14 games, bro.
Lamar Miller. Yeah, I know. He only played 14 games.
Give him 2 more games, and he's probably a low-end 1.
Yeah,
Give Gurley 2 more.
Gurley gets 18 games a year.
That reminds me of Kingpin. When he's talking about how the Amish, he's like, we do everything 2 times more than you, so we play 18 frames.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
That's a great reference, Mike. No, but so Lamar Miller, let's talk about Lamar Miller. He is a guy that, honestly, I don't like that he's this low in our consensus rankings. I certainly don't have him this low in our consensus rankings. I believe the reason he is there is Mike. Both Andy and I have him at 11, a low-end RB1. Mike, you've got him at 18.
I do need to move him up.
What happens between if Tom Savage is the quarterback or a rookie drafted or Tony Romo is the quarterback? Those outcomes for Lamar Miller are drastically different for me. Right now I've got him slotted like 70% towards Tony Romo. So if we go into the season with Tom Savage, I'll move him down from 11. But I think if Tony Romo signs, he's probably going to end up as my 8 or 9 running back.
And that's fair. I mean, I think everybody's disappointed when you went from the lower touches numbers, but finished 9 and 5 with Miami. You come into Houston and the wheels fell off for that offense and the team and Osweiler. I'm laughing because you brought up Tom Savage, and I saw the interview with O'Brien at the meetings, and he just, these coaches and they're straight-faced, we're so excited about Tom and Whedon. I mean, he said, we're so excited about Tom Savage and Brandon Whedon, and we feel comfortable with these guys. Was his exact word. And it's like a man sitting in a porcupine chair saying how comfortable he is. It's just he has to do it through wincing. I totally love it. So, yeah, I'm okay with him sitting at 14 right now.
That's good stuff.
I'm fine with him sitting at 14 because, honestly, he's one of the guys in those early rankings, which is it's not fair to rank because it matters so much. His upside is capped if Tom Savage is the quarterback. End of story. Same with Hopkins and Fuller and everybody on that offense. So
the thing Andy, you were talking about how you get that shine when you have the explosive games like Ajayi. That's what Lamar Miller did not have.
You're right.
Last year
You're dead on.
He had 1, and
he was the Clinton Portis of the current age. He was consistent, 12 points a game type of guy.
Yeah, and a lot of that is just a severe lack of touchdowns from what you would expect for Lamar Miller.
Yeah, that lack of touchdowns was for the Texans,
right?
Not just Lamar Miller. He actually performed well. If you look at his efficiency stats, they have a good offensive line as well. So I think if they get a good quarterback in there that can have their team start scoring points, Lamar Miller can easily be like a top 5 running back if he's getting 260 carries plus he's involved in the passing game. But we certainly have to wait.
It's an interesting thing. I mean, you look at those numbers, 268 carries, 5 touchdowns. Crowell had 7 last year, 31 receptions. Crowell had 40 last year and more yardage. It's just a matter, I think, in both situations, what you put around these guys might make the difference on who you'd rather have. However, Lamar Miller going in the 2nd round, 7th pick.
Right, versus the 5th round for
5th
Crow.
round. Yeah, see, I can almost guarantee Crow. I mean, his ADP is going to climb into the 4th. But it might not climb any higher than that. And that's why he's going to end up in our breakout list, I'm going to tell you.
Houston.
We have a problem.
We do. Please. I know I've been touting Romo to the Broncos all off season, but let's make this happen, Houston. Just go get him.
Yeah, seriously.
Go get Romo.
Trade.
Just pay the price. Just pay.
Yeah, you hear Jerry Jones talk about Romo. The deadline for a decision on Romo is camp, so that somebody can come in and have to Ryan Fitzpatrick that situation and bring a guy in real late where they don't have time.
So stupid.
Just make it happen.
But, I mean, what's the consequence to Dallas? Dallas is being smart. There's no consequence to them
to
wait, other than the fact they might get a pick out of it.
Well, their cap, I mean, they're eating a ton of money. They could have done something. They could have added another player. They maybe they wouldn't lose Ronald Leary.
Right.
I mean,
They have lost a lot of pieces.
Yeah, their
in
defense has
secondary,
been
man.
Their defense has been just picked
But
apart.
but they still have Tony Romo.
Yeah, they got the highest paid backup.
Number 15 on our consensus running back rankings, a guy that honestly my kind of internal dialogue feels a lot like C.J. Anderson with this,
Yes,
this
fair.
guy.
Very fair.
Number 15 is Carlos Hyde, 26-year-old Carlos Hyde. Last year in 13 games, had 217 carries for 988 yards and 6 touchdowns. Has always flashed great potential both, in the real NFL realm and the fantasy realm. Yet to have a season in which he has finished in the top 15. Last year he was 15 on the dot in 13 games. So there's
Wouldn't
really
that be
nothing to
finishing in the top 15 if you are 15.
Yeah.
yet to have a season finishing in the top 16. Oh, I mean 14. All right. Well, let's digress here. My hatred for Carlos Hyde is flowing through. Like, potential's there. Being drafted very high, 209. I'm surprised at that. Mike loves him.
Yes.
Certainly love Kyle Shanahan's influence there. However, there were every argument you could ever make for Carlos Hyde in the offensive scheme has been made before for Carlos Hyde in the offensive scheme when he had Chip Kelley come in, extra plays, great opportunity. Yada, yada, yada.
Here's what I can
Finished
say.
15th in 13 games.
It's not bad. No, it's great.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, he did perform well. Yesterday I spent a lot of time researching Kyle Shanahan's old systems, every single team that he has been the offensive coordinator for, looking at how they finished with regard to their running game. The first 4 years that he was an offensive coordinator in the league are his lowest 4 rushing attempt years that he had as far as within the league itself. Lately, he's had years where, in Washington he was the 3rd highest rushing attempt. And so then I broke it down and said, okay, what percentage is Kyle Shanahan's system giving carries to the number 1 running back, right? And it was about 53% last year to Devonta Freeman, 63% to Devonta Freeman the year before. And going back year after year after year, almost every number 1 back got 60+% of the carries of their team, which is a great number. The only exceptions were years where they either didn't have any running backs, where Roy Halou was the best guy on your roster.
Wait, whoa. Pump your brakes. Halou. Pump your brakes. Insulting my man.
Or back with the Browns when you had Isaiah Crowell and Ben Tate was their starter for some of the year, and Terrence West.
Fun.
It was weird. It was like this 3-headed figuring out who was the lead back. So with that being said, I feel like I am confident that you're looking at a 250 carry Carlos Hyde if he can play 16 games.
Which he's never done.
And I don't think he can. I mean, he is literally right now my highest risk-rated running back in the draft kit. So
shoulder, ankle, calf, hamstring, quadricep, foot stress fracture, shoulder, concussion.
Yuck.
The story for Carlos Hyde, everything you said sounds so good if it wasn't Carlos Hyde. When you tell me he's going to get 60% of the carries, I say, ouch. That's the worry with that. And now the upside's there. Yeah. Every player that has a high risk rating, it's built in that they have really high upside a lot of the time because the efficiency and the opportunity, those things have been there. He needs to stay healthy.
DeMarco Murray was very similar in his first few years in the league. Complete injury risk. Year after year,
yes.
It was this, it was that. He can't play a full 16, and then
when he played a full 16, it was beautiful.
And then it was healthy he's not an injury risk guy anymore. We don't even consider him that. And so
same with Matt Forte early on.
Right. So Carlos Hyde, just because he has been in his first few years does not mean he will always be an injured guy.
But he certainly will be a risk this year until he proves he can get through a season.
Agreed.
16 is Spencer Ware. I'm realizing now how many question marks this middle tier has. And actually, when I was looking at my rankings
this
before.
This is why I traded for C.J. Anderson.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like it's funny. I have a horrible metaphor to bring up when relating to these players.
Can't wait.
I just see like a pile of old CDs with scratches on them, and I don't know when I play the album whether or not the song's going to come out.
That's fair.
Because, Spencer Ware, do they draft someone?
30% of our audience has never owned
I know. A compact disc before. 30% of our audience has no clue. Do you remember those old the disc repair kits they'd sell?
Yeah,
and they'd be like $499. It seemed like to buy those things.
And I don't understand how those can even work.
They'd like fill. I think they'd fill in the scratches with like a plastic or something.
So it would power through it essentially. Because I mean the data has been scratched out.
I don't know if it has. I don't know what. I think it maybe messes the laser up more than. I don't know.
Wrong podcast.
Scientists, come forward and answer these important compact disc questions.
I love Michael Keaton. All right.
Wow.
I had to get in on
you
that
got
one.
in on that.
So, Spencer Ware?
Spencer Ware. Where are you?
Where's Ware?
You started like a bat out of hell, and you ended like you're trudging through the mud. I mean, it was not. I just don't think they can go into the season and hand the ball to him for the whole season.
See, I disagree. I think that Spencer Ware, if he was guilty of anything, it was guilty of setting the expectations with his week 1 because he was still overall solid on the season. Much like Lamar Miller, he wasn't, just giving you these this huge, spectacular games, but he was solid. 214 carries, 42 targets, and that's in 14 games.
Where do you have, on your individual rankings, do you have him ahead of guys like Lamar Miller?
Let me pull it up. I have said I need to move Miller up. I had Miller at 18. Right now, Ware is
16 or 13. For Mike.
So Miller will move up. They'll probably be very close to each other. But where his risk to me is, there's a lot of rumors of Kansas City making a move in the draft. If they do, then I will adjust Ware accordingly. But if they move in with Ware as the main running back.
They've already signed C.J. Spiller.
Like I said, if they make a move in the draft, I'll move him down. He was not scoring touchdowns. Of the top 20 running backs for fantasy, and Ware was 16, he had 3 rushing touchdowns. I mean, so he was still a strong RB2 with a complete lack of rushing touchdowns.
Pulling a Melvin Gordon from 2 years ago?
Yeah, which made no sense because he had 18 carries inside the 10. I mean,
right.
To me, that's a positive regression will happen for Spencer Ware if he's going to get those carries again.
Yeah, but that's a strong case. If he has the role,
that's
a great situation.
Everything is if he has the role.
The other way to look at that, though, is that he was inefficient inside the 10, which would be a strong reason, and I believe that Kansas City will go draft a good running back. So we'll have to wait, and after the draft, this is why we call these the early running back.
So Kansas City, Denver, of all the players we talked about so far, those are the 2 that you think have the highest potential of drafting a running back.
Until we get to the next team.
not the 2 highest potential of drafting a running back in the league, but
no, of the
players, yes. Tier. And now we go, and that brings us to Rob Kelley.
Yeah. Rob Kelley.
I do not think Washington drafts a running back.
Which is
really?
Clearly the general public does, because they have him as an ADP of 7-11, which is back behind Crowell. You don't think they do?
I think they'll draft a running back, but I don't think they're drafting a starting running back.
What you have with Robert Kelley is the inverse of what you have with Todd Gurley, in the sense that Gurley is afforded a long leash due to his draft position, stock, investment of the team, etc. Robert Kelley could absolutely maintain a starting role. But much like Matt Jones, the leash may be very short if the production isn't there. You went from I think Matt Jones ended up, he was in the top 5 after a couple weeks last year, and then poof.
Well, he got the itis.
The fumbleitis.
Well, but it's easier to take that job away from a guy without draft pedigree, than it is somebody that you have further trust in. So look, all these guys have their risks. All these guys, it's not nitpicking anymore like it was in the top 5 running backs. You're at number
legit problems.
Yeah, you're at number 17 here, and so you have to make a decision between, hey, do I, at least the risk with Robert Kelley in the current ADP is nothing.
Right.
I mean,
the
potential starter.
What is his ADP?
It's almost 8th round.
Ooh, give me Rob Kelley in the 8th.
That will go way, way, way up
if they don't draft.
If they don't draft somebody, and if they don't draft someone, I like Rob Kelley a good amount. Once he was the starter, weeks 8 through 17, he was running back 14, and that includes a final week of the season where he was played through a knee injury, which he did have off-season knee surgery. He had 2 kind of clunkers in the middle of that. He will be the goal line and the first and second down back for a very high-powered offense, which makes him a guy that I would target in those as an RB2. He's not an RB1, certainly, but an RB2 would be – I'd love to have Rob Kelley on my team.
Yeah, I agree with that. The main problem you have with Rob Kelley is he is not a pass catcher. He's not efficient with it. He's not good at it, and he's not really used in that role either. So you have a good running back who I believe is a good running back. I mean, he very rarely gets tackled for a loss, always falls forward, but he's got a great offensive line, good offense.
He's a businessman.
Yeah, he's coming. He's poor man's Alfred Morris.
I think he might just be Alfred Morris.
I think it is Alfred Morris back in he put on a different name.
You guys are forgetting how good Alf was.
Oh, I know.
He was always
a
businessman, though.
No, I agree with that.
Always.
I'm saying production-wise, he's going to be a poor man's Alfred Morris.
Oh, okay, I see that possibly.
All right, we'll move on.
Yeah.
Theo Riddick, number 18 on our rankings. Kind of the first big PPR name.
Say he is the opposite of Rob Kelley.
Yeah, he's not going to get a lot of carries.
He's not a businessman.
No.
He's not getting carries. He's not being efficient with those. He's
a salesman.
receptions.
He's a salesman.
And the reason he is this high on our list is because this is a half-point PPR format. So, for instance, I have him down next year for 75 receptions. When you get points, a half or full per reception, and most running backs are getting like 30 or less, and you get 75, you're scoring a lot of extra points, and you always have the opportunity with those receptions to gain even more yards than carries. So that's where Theo Riddick comes up. I think his role as well is a little bit safer in the sense that if they were to go bring in AP, I think that it will be Theo Riddick, not Amir Abdullah, who has established himself as that third down role.
Yeah, he's very valuable to this team. He only played 10 games last year. They missed him in the back half of the season. In 2015, he had 80 receptions. Last year, he was on pace for 84 before the injury, so this is his role. I mean, he's carved it out. You've seen 2 years of it. He had the wrist surgery. He should be back. He should be in camp, and he's a great value. Right now in a standard league, he's almost a 9th-round pick. In PPR, he's a 6th-round pick. I think Theo Riddick is somebody that nobody really loves to click the draft button on because you don't get the prototypical production. He's like Danny Woodhead. You just kind of like, boy, I'd sure rather have a guy that I know is getting 15, 20 carries than I would. I really hope he gets 5 or 6, 7 receptions and scores. That being said, the value's there. He should bounce back. He's only 26 years old, and he had 5 receiving TDs in only 10 games. So Theo Riddick, another team that could definitely draft a running back, another team that could definitely sign a running back. But like Jason said, the role seems to be carved out for Riddick. We have him as our consensus number 18. Not always the sexiest of picks, but somebody who should finish in that top 24 at the running back position.
Completely agree.
Latavius Murray, a fun guy to talk about. Last year was 13th in the league in Oakland in only 14 games, and the year before was number 11.
Now,
he moves to Minnesota this year and also just had surgery. So talk about Latavius.
Well, actually, I was going to tell you to talk about him because the only reason he is in our top 20, Mike has him 23, I have him 24, is because you have him at 16. So I think you are believing that he can do more with that offense and with that offensive line than at least I believe. I'll speak for myself. I think he's going to be, I don't know, slightly better than Matt Asiata.
Well, look, the thing that makes him better than Matt Asiata is that he's going to have a more defined higher carry role. And the best comparison for Latavius Murray in my projection for his season would actually be what Todd Gurley did last year. And Todd Gurley ended up as the number 17 running back. So I have Murray at 16. This is an offense that can move the ball. This is an offense that was highly efficient with Sam Bradford. And so you put Latavius Murray, who can catch it, in goal line situations. I think he falls the right direction enough times to put you at that number 16 ranking. They invested their money into Latavius Murray. I'm not expecting Latavius Murray to ever give you those high-profile Ajayi type of weeks. This is a Lamar Miller light type of situation for Latavius Murray. That's how I have him projected. last year and the year before would have ended up top 12 both seasons. Loses that offensive line for sure, and so I did take him down a few pegs for sure.
Yeah, he moves from Oakland, who averaged 1.5 yards before contact for running backs, to Minnesota, under a yard. And you also have the red flag of Latavius Murray behind that Oakland offense was 4 yards a carry. And I understand yards per carry is it is what it is. It can be kind of good and kind of bad. But Murray was at 4. Meanwhile, his counterpoints, D-Wash, almost 5.5. Jalen Richard, almost 6. And those guys, that was over 80. It's over 80 carries, so that's enough of a sample.
I got you. It's enough of a sample for them to have great production. But come on, when Oakland's winning these games and they're running the clock out, they're just handing it to Latavius Murray to run into the line.
Well,
so,
he whenever they
also
hand it to
started
him,
the game.
He runs into the back of the line. I'm just saying that much of a disparity is a bit of a red flag. Meanwhile, Minnesota running backs averaged 3.2 yards per carry last year. It was historically bad for Minnesota.
I want a new stat. I got a new one.
What's
you
that?
want to figure this one out for me?
Sure.
Go give me the yards per carry first half for the whole season. I want to know who had the
all right.
best
That's
first
interesting.
half yards per
I
carry.
like that a lot.
And how much just eliminate like garbage time.
Sure.
Or maybe a 3/4 thing or something. But I think that'd be interesting
Yeah,
to know.
no,
Not that I
that's
think it's
very-
going to bend any direction for Murray, but when you think about closer backs, the Washington and Richard are so little. I mean, it was Murray at the end of every game affecting those numbers.
Yeah, no, that would be a
Last thing I want to do
very
is be
interesting
the
study.
Latavius Murray apologist. I think we all agree he is not a great player.
But he's but I can get on board the fact that he is the clear starting running back
Yes.
for an NFL team, and that brings value because there's not
Just
that
a lot
many.
there are a lot of question marks out. He's a 4th-round pick. I think that's okay.
I'm
I'm pretty much fine. Latavius Murray is my running back too. Does not bother me this year.
And I tweeted this out, but Jerick McKinnon had 28 receptions in the final 5 weeks. If you're looking at, there is a clear trend of what happened with McKinnon and Asiata last year. When AP went down, they made a conscious decision. Okay, Jerick McKinnon's going to get the chance. He was getting high carry totals, low receptions.
So what do you think happens to Latavius's receptions? Because you would
I think they go way down.
way down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jerick McKinnon got that role at the end of last season. 5 weeks, that's enough of a trend for me to be concerned about Latavius Murray's role in pass catching. And McKinnon he's a spark freak. He's an uber athlete. Perhaps he's not the best running back, but much like Theo Riddick, you have a great athlete. Give him the ball in space and let him make it happen.
How many attempts and receptions did Matt Asiata have last year?
How many? He's probably over 100 attempts.
29. Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at 2015. That's what confused me.
Oh,
Like,
Thank
that's
goodness
impossible.
for that. 32 receptions for Asiata
yeah, but that's what I'm
and
saying.
121 attempts.
Yeah,
It
if you
completely flipped.
Yeah, it really is
was
true.
Asiata was the passing downs back early, and then it switched.
Yep, for sure. And then obviously, McKinnon has a role carved out. He is there.
And Asiata is not currently on the Vikings. Just
No.
for
No,
if
he's
you
not.
weren't aware of that.
Tevin Coleman.
Tevin
Coleman.
Whose jersey is on our wall right now.
You're darn right it is.
Tevin Coleman.
He comes in at our number 20 running back here, which he's really the first and only guy. I guess Theo Riddick is kind of there as well, but this is a backup on his team. He is not the starter. Is this too high for a backup, or is this too low for a guy who last year, without playing a full set of games, he only played 13, was actually one spot higher than this at 19?
If you're loading up the Tevin Coleman software, there's a feature inside of it. And the feature that you can select is top 5 running back if Devonta Freeman went down. And so that's nice to have when you talk about factoring that in. If he's given that role, oh my goodness. It's just like, even if he's, I don't think he's a better player than Devonta Freeman. I think Freeman's a better player.
Yes.
But if you give him that backfield, this guy finished 19. So no, to answer your question, finished 19 last year. It's not too early for a backup. Not one with that kind of an upside.
Yeah, it would be a little bit too early for me. I have him, I believe, down around 27. And I love Tevin Coleman. Clearly, I was the one who sought out this jersey because I wanted it on the wall. Just there is the factor of overachieving on the work. 421 receiving yards on 31 receptions. The guy was devastating in the pass game last year, which because of his athletic ability, there's a possibility that can continue. But the loss of Kyle Shanahan, it's pretty heavy for me, for if you're talking about the backup running back for Atlanta. So it just,
you'd rather have Gore, you'd rather have Montgomery, according to your rankings.
Yes,
so
as
both of those
as
guys.
of right now, Gore is also one of those guys who could change drastically after the draft.
Okay. Any final thoughts on Tevin Coleman? We're wrapping up the show right now.
Not especially.
I'm gonna go straight through the next 10. I'm just gonna read them out that we have on our rankings in case you're curious. You can see them all on the site, thefantasyfootballers.com. And obviously all of these guys, the cool thing about the Ultimate Draft Kit is that we update this thing constantly, and the draft kit will have our point projections in it and just more detailed analytics on each player, including blurbs and things like that, our perspective. Number 21, Jeremy Hill, then Frank Gore, Ty Montgomery, Gio Bernard. So a couple of Bengals end up in the top, 21 and 24. Eddie Lacy, Jonathan Stewart, Amir Abdullah, Bilal Powell, Paul Perkins, Matt Forte round out the top 30. Subject to change.
And I'll just throw out Eddie Lacy, who is my number 17, Andy, your number 21.
He probably would have made the 20s. Yes,
because of Mike has him at 38, and I don't get that. But just throwing him out there as a guy that I think, had you not been here, we would have been talking about.
And it
today.
might have been the same case with Montgomery. I mean, you guys have Montgomery at 16 and 25. I have him down at 32.
Yes.
So the debates get larger because we look at these kind of second and third tier running backs, and we are projecting circumstances for that team. Some we know, some we don't know. So any final thoughts, guys, before we wrap it up? We will have the show after the show today over on YouTube. So head over to youtube.com/thefantasyfootballers.
What are we talking about?
Subscribe. We are going to
Rotten
debate.
Tomatoes,
We're going to debate some movie-related talk because Rotten Tomatoes has come under some heat.
There's some issues that need to be addressed.
Yeah, there's some things we got to talk about. Mike, we have to deal with this. All right.
I'm all for it, man.
Get into wide receivers next week.
Yeah, so thanks for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes. We appreciate your reviews. And check out fantasyjocks.com if you need a trophy or a draft board.
Code is footballers.
See you later.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.